And thank you for staying with us here on your election headquarters. This is our continued coverage of the Ejisu By-Elections. It's happening there now. Let's go live. Let's listen to the national chairman of the MPP civilian team.
Ofori-Atta splitting and leaving the camp. And personally, as chairman of the party, I'm not comfortable. We should be able to bring them all back to the fold, the party's fold, so that come December 7th, there will be no surprises. We should be able to carry the Ejisu seat with ease, as against what we are going through this evening. So that's my next focus, to make sure that the party is reconciled amongst itself. That's what we are looking at.
So is it that you are going to the camp of Aduomi, try to convince him and his supporters to return to the NPP?
That is the only way out. You don't expect Aduomi to make overtures to us. You don't expect him to do that. So as chairman of the party, I'm going to take that mantle upon myself.
Looking at the people representing Mr. Aduomi here, it seems that he has aligned with the butterfly movement now. Don't you think it will be too difficult for him to return?
It shouldn't be difficult. It's a matter of, are we going with the butterfly or we are going with the MPP? That's the question they should be asking themselves. And I'm sure they will fall naturally to the MPP.
Now, the issue that people are raising is that the voter album for the NPP is not credible. Is it that you superintend over another election to deal with the issues with the voter album or what?
The credibility of the album, that issue has not been brought to my attention yet. Because from the national, we don't get involved into the nitty-gritty details of the constituency albums. So if there's anything, we are now going to call for inquiry to find out where there are issues and try to rectify them.
With these issues in the party, it looks like the 2024 election will be a very difficult one for the New Patriotic Party. Aside the Ejisu constituency, what are you doing across the country to ensure that these issues do not repeat itself in the national election?
We have reconciliation committees at every constituency, at every region, and also at the national. We have reconciliation committees put in place for these purposes. So we will use this machinery to address all issues bordering on disputes and reconciliation before we get into the December general elections.
If there's any lesson that the MPP has learned under your leadership, what biggest lesson has the party learned?
There are always lessons to be learned, but can you also point out some of these lessons to me?
Well, I think fractures at the party's front is something that is very obvious.
Party front?
Well, I mean, the reason why people are even going independent, your own people going independent and what have you. My colleague even just mentioned the credibility of the voters album, even at the constituency level and what have you.
I cannot say that all the albums in all the constituencies are foolproof. I cannot stand here and vouch. But it's not widespread. It is not widespread. If you find one or two places where this thing is occurring, doesn't mean all the albums should be rejected and new albums to be recompiled. No, that's not a good.
So that is the national chairman of the New Patriotic Party here with us in the Ejisu constituency. And as I said earlier, he's been with us in the coalition center and he has been leading the NPP through the process. According to him, even though the party is winning, it hasn't been a comfortable ride for the NPP here at the Ejisu constituency. Let's go back to the results that have been projected. Now the EC is giving us percentages. They've done 97 out of the 204 polling stations within the Ejisu constituency, and when it comes to percentages, Osei Esther, who happens to be the candidate for the CPP, Conventions People's Party, has 0.2% of the votes that have been certified. The NPP candidate in the person of Kwabena Boateng has been able to make 57.1% of the certified results. Beatrice Boache of the LPG has 0.3%. And Kwabena Owusu-Ediomi, who happens to be the former MP for the Ejisu constituency, has been able to make 42.0% of the certified votes. Also, Fridia Ajaman Joseph, another independent candidate, was able to garner 0.4% of the vote. And the final candidate, who happens to be another independent candidate, that is Atakra Joseph, also is yet to get any votes. So far that is the results that have been certified by the Electoral Commission. Now, 99 out of the 204 constituencies within the Ejisu within 204 polling stations within the Ejisu constituencies, 99 of the polling stations results have been certified by the EC and projected here at the Collation Center. So there are 104 polling stations to go. The EC is still receiving pink sheets from the various polling stations, and immediately they come in, the pink sheets are forwarded to the table set up by the EC there, and the officers will go through these results and try to talk to the agents of the various candidates. If they certify these results, they go ahead to project it. That is, when these results are certified and accepted by all the political party representatives here, that is when they project these results. So far, this is what we have here at the Collation Center within the Ejisu constituency. 101 out of the 204 polling stations done so far. 103 more to go. Back to you, Evans.
Is Nanaya Aljuma, and we'll be interacting with Nanaya Aljuma and stay with him because you're watching this unfold with the results coming in. Out of 101 polling stations there, we have the NPP candidate securing 56.9%. There, Kwabena Boateng, 56.9%. Adomi has 42.3% of the votes of the certified results there. It's still close, is it not? I mean, in terms of his performance in there so far, 101 out of 204, Adomi is at 42.3% in that constituency.
Well, that's not so close. You don't write him off. You say that he's done well so far, but it doesn't look like it's going to be his election. I mean, at this point, I think even his team would know that this doesn't look like it's going to be his election. And this is something many of us would have known going into it. And that's why we said if he was able to get this, he was going to get that. But because it was difficult, going to win that particular election. Also because of the fact that this is an MPP seat. And it was more like, two parties going into, an election. When I said it was more of an internal election because Adomi, haven't already been part of the NPP. And the thing is that because this is a by-election where you have all the party hierarchy and national, government officials getting into a constituency, it was always going to be very difficult for Adomi. I'm sure by now he knows he's not won the elections.
Yeah, and that is something to watch. We want to hear from them. One of the things we want to do is to hear from them, because when you hear from Adomi's camp, you get a sense of where they are. I mean, even if they don't admit it, you get a sense of where they are right now. One thing is clear. If you are in this race and you're serious, right now you should know whether you won or lost.
That's true.
It's very clear. The MPP says they won this. They know, they said it to us an hour ago that they won this. That's the MPP's position. We haven't heard from Adomi's camp just yet. And when we do, we'll bring that to you. Our producers are working to get that for us. But let me update you. We now have certified results coming into the Collation Center. 101 out of the 204 polling centers in now. Kwabena Boateng, who is the MPP's candidate in the Ejisu constituency, has 56.9%, and Aduomi has 42.3%, coming in from the collation center there in Ejisu. So we're watching this closely, and so we have more than half of the polling stations yet to come in. Depending on who you talk to, they tell you they're doing very well. MPP is very categorical that they've won. We'll see, because everything will be disclosed. At this point, we expect that in the next hour, we should have a clear picture of who has won this in the constituency.
Again, it would also depend whether or not this gap will be closed or will be extended. Will depend on the areas that they're voting and the results are coming from.
So those 101 polling stations, where are they?
If it's predominantly in the Kwabri Mponua, the main Ejisu main area, the Onyi areas, you are expecting it to tilt more towards the NPP candidate. If it's Besianse Hraso, the Kwamse, and the other areas, you're expecting that it will tilt towards Aduomi more because of support, background, and also the areas that people have been known to do a lot of work, and people remember them for their works. So is the breakdown of the 101 that will tell me that this is a done deal and the gap is going to increase, or even though the MPP is likely to still win, the gap will be narrower than this. But this is not a comfortable lead at all. This is an area that MPP wins with 78, 80%, 82% in major elections. Now it appears that Aduomi has made a major statement there. And let's not get it wrong. This is dress rehearsal for December 7. That's where who's going to be in parliament for 4 years will be determined. That is a major matter. Even if Aduomi loses the election and there are no attempts, and it appears will be very difficult, mindful of the kind of connections he's established now, in terms to bring him back into the fold, he may more likely contest the main election again, which is going to present another challenge as to whether he will make the inroads. Learning of the fault lines that happen in this election, whether or not the MPP now spreading their resources across the 275 constituencies will have the power to have Kingsley and Co. invade just like they did in this election. That will not be the same. And that is how parties lose elections in the main election, because we are concentrating not on one constituency, but now on 275 of them. Resources are spread thin, people are busy doing other things, and it may be very difficult to rein in areas like Ejisu going forward, which will be very problematic. And it doesn't appear. Kwabena Boateng is yes, a SCAN vice chair. He's also a member of the MPP's communication team in the region, but Kwabena Boateng is not to the stature, timbre, and caliber of Aduomi. If for nothing at all, years of experience in the area and for the work done alone, he will need more to be able to solidify his presence in that particular constituency. And that's where I see the difference. So if I get to know the 101 or 102, or even beyond that, which specific areas are bringing in the votes, we can perhaps say, well, it's a done deal. It may go up to 65 or 70.
Stay with me. I want to bring in Henry Adusei. Henry Adusei is with the Aduomi campaign team and joins us right now from the Ejisu constituency. Henry, thanks for your time here on your election headquarters. Where are you tonight in terms of your own internal collations?
Ivan, thank you for the opportunity. Yes, so we have our own setup collation center, and we are also doing our collation. Yes, so we are on. Yeah.
And what is that collation telling us?
As it stands now, you see, the whole Ejisu constituency has about 204 polling stations. And in our own collation, we are 155 now.
So the 155, are you leading or you are trailing?
The MPP candidate is leading us a bit over 950 plus votes. Less than 1,000 votes.
Okay. So where does that place Aduomi?
For now, we cannot say because, like your respondent was giving you the updates on the ground, we have our own assumed pump in the country. So our place, we have areas that we put down strong votes, she has not collated. Our minister still sending us can is on our police platform.
Okay, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with the line. Forgive me. There's something wrong with the line. Let's try and fix it. It's not stable. But Raymond, you have something. I'll bring him back because I was not quite hearing what he was saying. Raymond, based on what he said so far, the other collation, 150.
He's saying that the difference is over 950 or so votes, which means that there's a difference in what the EC has and what they are having.
They have, of course. They are.
That's the point I was making. He was actually backing that. If the votes are coming from predominantly the Besiase and other areas, one would expect that it will go in the direction of Aduomi, which will show up their numbers. But if it's coming from Onye and the other areas, one will also expect that it will go in the MPP's new candidate's place. Now, it is dicey. The thinking is that they have gotten votes, but it also could be from their predominant areas. But I thought I heard them say that they have still not received all of the votes from their, what they call strongholds, which if what he is talking about is true, then it is closer. And the margin is way more closer than all the... It's too early to even call it a day. If what he's saying is true, they have not received most of the votes from their own areas, and that the results Rafi have gotten so far is a mix of what the predominant areas that are known to be loyal to Aduomi are yet to come in, and yet the difference is just 950 as he's putting it. That will be a very strange fight.
Yeah,
it will be a very, very tall order. In fact, it will be closer, even if the MPP is going to win the election. It will be closer based on what he's purporting. But of course, we don't have those figures. And the difference, obviously, is in what the EC is giving us. And it appears that it's on the
I want to get him to recap again. The connection wasn't great. Henry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
It's better now. Henry Adusei is with the Aduomi campaign team. You were telling us that from your own collation with the Aduomi camp, you so far have results from 150?
No, 165.
165 centers.
Out of the 204.
Out of the 204. And from the 165 centers, what are the results for you, your internal collations? What do you have?
Yes, so we have about 19,000 and some figures.
Okay.
It's a bit below 20,000.
Okay, but the MPP's candidate...
And they have 20,000 and some, a bit below 21,000.
Okay,
so that's what's giving you the difference is less than 1,000 now.
The difference is less than 1,000, you say. Now, the rest of the centers yet to come in, do you reckon, from your own analysis, that you're coming from places that you know to be your strongholds or coming from places that you know to be MPP strongholds?
Yes, so as it's left now, we have most of the places left are balanced areas. You see the urban areas are just so proper. And then we have some areas of Fumesa and some areas of Bonri and some areas of Wankra. Those areas look a bit balanced. Those areas, so I cannot say clearly that whether those areas will favor them or to favor us. So it will be like it's almost we are the same pedestal now.
Okay, but they are in the lead, you say, from your own internal collation. The MPP is categorical when we spoke to them. They were already at the time an hour ago when we spoke to them with significant centers already collated by their internal collators, and they tell us that their figures tell them that they've won this based on your politicians. And the thing is, at this time, you know if you've won or you've lost. You look at the numbers.
They could be giving false hope to their people. Like I'm saying, those are provisional results. So you cannot stand on provisional results and say that you won the election. Even if you're not at all, our collation is within that of what the Electoral Commission is doing. So how do you say if won elections, while the places left are almost balanced areas? So for instance, we can have maybe some polling stations in just so central, which we will lead them. They might also have some places in Fumesa they might lead us. So 960 votes can easily be balanced. So this is not a clearly won election. Until the last polling station is added, they cannot tell us they've won the election. So we are still doing our collating as it stands now, we've added about 5 polling stations, and the 9 states 5 has reduced, so about 7 something. So we are gradually catching up. So I don't know, maybe, yeah, they can say that, but until ours is done and that of the Electoral Commission is done, we believe that we are still in the competition. Yeah, the contest is still on.
The contest is still on for you. Where is Adomi?
Yeah.
Where is Adomi as we speak?
He just left our collation center. He wants to head to where the Electoral Commission is doing the general collation.
Okay. Yeah. And once it gets there, Nana Jima will bring an interview for you. But clarify something for me. The collation center where Adomi is heading, you have for the key agent at the center, Ofori-Atta, right?
Yes.
Who is leading for you? Why Ofori-Atta? Is it to suggest that you have an alliance or an agreement with Alan's side?
Not really. You see, this is a fight between an independent candidate and a whole political party who's equally also in power. So we are handicapped, you see, when it comes to even human resources. Because most of the people in the constituency, because of future victimization, they didn't really want to come openly and work for Honorable Ejisu engineer. So the few hands we have, we need to seek extra support. And Hobson and Co also came in to assist us. So it's not only Hobson, we have other equally people with aligned political parties who came on hands to also help us. So it's not that Honorable is aligned to any political party. It's just that we are an orphan in a constituency which people extended their support to us.
So which other political parties came to assist?
Some other political parties with, I don't know the names, but they came as identified groups to also equally assist us. Other independent candidates are also here to assist us.
Did the NDC assist?
No, NDC is not part of this contest.
No, yeah,
It's just that maybe if NDC people around, it's because of the good work Honorable Ejisu did in the Ejisu constituency. They feel attracted to his campaign, and maybe they might not vote for us. But then that one, NDC didn't come clear that we as a political party want to support you. No.
And I'm curious if, as you say, you needed help, right? Because you're coming up against an incumbent party. Did Adomi and your campaign team have a conversation at all with Alan if he can help?
Can you come again?
Did Adomi and your campaign team, did you have a conversation with Alan Chamanting at all if he can help?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. Not at all. Yes.
Let me ask you, I'm pretty sure your campaign team would have seen that video of Kingsley Nyako, a video that we captured here on election headquarters. And you've seen what has happened since. The Electoral Commission has investigated it, and they have told the world that an envelope was given, the contents was given to the officers to buy food. And the matter has been given to the police now to look into. What is Adomi going to do about this?
Ivan, like I already put it, you are fighting against a whole party machinery. If your reporters will give you the ground information, from yesterday up to today, almost all the MCs and Ds in Ashanti region, they are patrolling here. People are sharing money left, right, center. What can we do about it? These things, some happen in Kumeru, some happen in Asen. And your reporters, you people are journalists, you know some of these things. Adomi can't do anything about these things. So why should a certain member of parliament in Kwadaso, a minister, gives money to an EC official? Don't Electoral Commission has a budget for running an election? Yesterday, the same thing happened when we were doing ballot accounting and the EC office. MPP party chairman and then the campaign manager for this election, they just elected Kumawu MP. They wanted to go and fuel buses that the EC would use to transport ballot materials to electoral areas. So, like I was telling you, we are handicapped. Whatever you have to do, we've done it. And we are hoping that at the end of the day, the good people of Ejisu will see what the evidence and message-based campaign that Honorable Ejisu did And if hopefully we win, then we win.
Okay. And he's not going to file an official complaint about the conduct of the EC officers at that polling center?
As it stands now, our campaign team, the concentration is on our collation of results here and what the EC is doing at the General Collation Center. So, aftermath of this, if anything, a press release and communique will be given to the media houses on that.
Okay, good. And we'll be staying with you once we know the outcome of this elections, because you're here till 10 p.m. I'm grateful that you joined us, Henry Adusei, with the Ediomi campaign team. They're helping us understand what their own coalition says. They are not going to be categorical about whether they won or not, but they say that it's going to be close, and you're waiting for everything to come in. They are counting 865 centers out of the 204 in their coalition center there. So that's where we are, Winston. Anything to pick from what we've just heard? And by the way, if you're just also joining us on the Joy News channel, if you look to your top right corner, you see the live results being displayed there with the two contenders, two main contenders, showing where they are. And you see that out of the 204, we have 101 certified from the coalition center. The EC puts the percentage to Kwabena Boateng, the MPP's candidate, at 56.50, and the Ediomi at 42.60. That is going to be changing as and when we get more. Winston.
Yes, so Evans, listening to the member of the Ediomi campaign, now you'd hear him say that, and I mean, Roman, you're making the point earlier, but he actually comes in to say that now you're left with areas for Besua and Bonkra and, Ejisu town. These are areas that could go anyway. And so that in itself would say that, okay, so let's wait and see what is going to happen. But again, look, we've covered elections. I do not get in the voice of this guy a sense that elections is going their way.
Yeah.
And the NPP, any serious political party, I mean, the Ediomi group would have logistic challenges. But any serious political party by now, Evans, should know the results of the elections. Any serious political party, i.e. NPP, NDC, if you want to win an elections, is how many? Look, it's 849.
Yeah, you should know.
You should know the results by now. So if the NPP had lost this election, Intim wouldn't be at the coalition center by now. He would have been gone. Long gone. I will be surprised if the results come out eventually and the NPP is lost. Whatever happens, Ediomi has put up a good fight. Okay? There's an independent candidate going into an election, and so far the votes he's gotten is what the NDC has never got even in the main election in that constituency. And that tells you the strength that he has, because the NDC has never been able to pull 19,000, 20,000 votes in an election. No. They haven't pulled that. So it's actually a plus by-election. This is even a by-election where you have a low voter turnout. Yes. Because if what we are gathering so far, 20,000, 21,000, 19,000, you're looking at in a constituency of over 100,000 registered voters, 106,000, we have so far about 40,000 turning out. That is less than 40% voter turnout. We're waiting for the declaration of the results, the final results. Then we'll find out whether it's actually 50% or not. But if this is anything to go by, it's an indication also for the NPP that they have a lot of work to do in 2024, particularly if Ediomi decides to still contest the election as an independent candidate.
Yeah, I mean, and that's important. And as we've been talking, we're still trying to get a bit more about the investigation is happening on the ground. And once we do, we'll let you know. As you know, this is something that the EC is taking seriously. But Raymond, whilst he was talking, you were obviously watching out to see the question of the rest of the coalition centers that they are yet to receive where it's coming from. He believes it's coming from areas that everybody's going to get a fair shake at the polls, at the votes that have been cast by the electorate. And that is key, is it not? Because we're waiting to see the rest of it. The Electoral Commission, our men on the ground obviously will be telling us, the update pretty shortly from the coalition center, and then we can update what you see on your screens there. But that's an important point to also watch.
It means that no matter what happens, the results are less likely to be overturned. The trend may continue.
Yeah.
Because if, as I mentioned earlier, if it was the rest of the results yet to be declared were predominantly in the Bisiansi areas, then I have the thinking that 1,000 votes will not be a big deal. But even if we believe that the difference now is 1,000 votes, we certainly will know that it may continue. So they are going to share the rest of the votes, and there will be maybe massive changes between the two parties or the two main candidates in the election, and it may end up being an MPP fight. What I was looking out for is whether or not the new votes would increase the percentages. Yeah, but it doesn't appear that the Kwamina Boateng team is less likely to leave the 50s into the 60s and head towards the 70s. That would have been a comfortable lead that the MPP is supposed to be garnering in any election in Ejisu. So we are more likely to have 50s and most likely 60s being the percentage for the winning candidate here, being the MPP candidate in this election, which will be very worrying to any person strategizing for the MPP in the Ashanti region first and foremost, but also in Ejisu more importantly. Because as I said earlier, if you're having a major election where your resources are spread thin across the country and you can't deploy as much into an area, and the same Aduomi is not reined in, he's not giving reasons why he's still better off with the NPP, and rather decides to go independent in the main election, this dress rehearsal is going to, or may worsen the plight of the NPP in that particular area. You are not only going to lose out on a very phenomenal voting trend. The difficulty is that if the person is convinced I'm not voting for your parliamentary candidate, if you don't take care, they may also explore the idea of either not voting at all or rejecting your presidential candidate at the end of the day. Those are explorations that will go through their minds. Because today, if Aduomi is going full-blown, and I am not one of those people who express any naive ideas about whether or not Hopes Nadoye was sitting in Accra and maybe on the internet, and somebody sent me a WhatsApp message and said, "Boss, can you come and help us?" And he jumped in to go and help them on the ground. I don't think that's what happened.
Yeah.
I actually think that there's a strong connection that one can establish between the Adoye impact on the election or presence in the election and what is more likely to be an alliance of a sort with the likes of Aduomi, with the, what they call the Movement for Change or the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. Nobody can convince me that there wouldn't be any conversation on that. Any political party interested in winning the election will be interested in this. And even Chairman, realizing that this is an area to explore, would actually like to explore that. Why not? If Aduomi is having a lot of grievance, if other people are also having grievances, why can't I go to them and say, see, we have the same problem with this party. So let's build a front that is bigger than a hijacked party, that is bigger than a problematic party that we currently have at stake in. Even if you are likely to return in the future, let's make it clear that we are actually working to make sure that the systems are fixed. Having people who have the same enemy come together to forge a united front to fight a single fight is known to be a very strong force. So I'm not one of those dismissing the path, which will mean that going into the main election, the MPP will have to add adjustment to the areas that it had to put a lot of resources and time on. Previously ignored, because it's not a swing place. Right. It's not a place that you would have even cared about anyway. But now you have to do a lot more work. They can ask yourself again, which other areas across the country are people nursing, building up, or even having interest in some of these things? 42% for an independent candidate in the Ashanti region is a big problem.
And you see, this is the other problem. Well, you can argue that the NPP can actually, focus on Ejisu. The other problem is that the independent group would also make it their projects. Now, they make it their project because they know that in Ejisu, they can actually win if Aduomi is to decide to contest as an independent candidate.
Yeah.
And if you are the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, that's something you want to do. You want to send the signal that, look, I am not to be taken for granted. And in an election which is likely to go into a second round, or which could go into a second round, because we have seen, political parties, sometimes after their second term, elections will go into a second round. I mean, it didn't happen in 2016, but you can excuse 2016 because of the times we find ourselves in. If this goes into a second round, then you actually would need a bargaining chip to say, this is the reason you should be talking to me. And in going into a second round, for instance, if no party has a clear majority in parliament and you seem to have some members in parliament, that could actually be your bargaining chip. And so you've heard the chairman of the NPP make the point that, they need to bring everybody on board. There needs to be a reconciliation, which, we're having the conversation, we talked about the fact that this is different from what is the president's position. Well, the president said a lot of things in the past. Is to, Siama, he says you cannot work with him, we're free party anymore, but hey, you eventually went to, what politicians say on the campaign platform, sometimes when it comes to other people, it's not something that you must hold on to hook, line, and sinker and say that it's not going to change. It always would change because at the end of the day, it's all about interest. And so if it is in the interest of the political party to, mend bridges, why not? You will. And so at this point in time, in the NPP's own interest, they should be able to get Kwabena Usua coming back to the NPP. He mustn't be allowed to contest as an independent candidate.
Yeah, but you're assuming that he hasn't won this. This hasn't been determined just yet.
The election.
This election.
You think he's been determined?
He's less likely to win.
It's less likely.
It's like that's the way to put it. But we are waiting for it.
Evans.
We're waiting for the outcome.
Evans, I'm saying that we have covered elections for some time now. You know when people are winning and you know when people are not winning.
Yeah, we've seen this country before where somebody was very categorical that they are in a comfortable lead and it turns out to be false.
But at that time, we knew he had lost the election.
but by the way, just before we wrap up and cross over into PM Express, I want your quick thoughts on the way Aduomi's camp is going to approach the video, right? The video of the MP. When I asked him, he says, well, there's nothing they can do. They've been bribing people, etc., and so they're going to let it go. I mean, he said let it go, but in essence, they're not going to pursue this beyond.
No. That language is going to change. You let them lose. They'll lose to be relevant and tell the people that you didn't waste your time supporting us. You the 42%. They rigged the election and they forced us into this corner. That's the language they're going to put out there. And this is the biggest evidence to back their claim. I hope you get the point.
Yeah.
They are not going to say that because if Aduomi is likely to contest the main election, he has to give people hope that, listen, we will not allow them to rig the election again and prevent us. And if you want to see evidence of the rigging, this is what he's going to say. This is a video to back it. So that we know in this country where people feel that one was not treated properly, they tend to, out of sympathy, support or even give them their votes for some reason. That is why sometimes parties even go to the Supreme Court, even when they are not so sure of how the things went out. So, in all fairness, they are going to exploit it big time. They are going to say that, you see, we are not even saying that they bribed only you, the electorate. We are saying that even the EC officials, they were all compromised. So we should stop that happening in the main election. That's the language they are going to use. And this is politics on the ground. This is elections. They will say everything that needs to be done. So the earlier reactions, yes, he's less focused on the claim.
And I'm waiting to hear from Aduomi himself.
Yes.
He told us that he's on his way to the coalition center. When it gets
but he has raised concerns before. Remember, they did a press conference and said they are suspecting that people are not only going to buy votes, but they'll do everything to rig the election. Those were his exact words. When the president went on the ground, he said nobody's rigging any election. Did we rig the election to make you member of parliament some years ago? Did you rig the election to make you beat a cabinet minister? The president was responding to a rigging plot they said was going to happen. This video will be exploited in that area. They are going to tell people that we told you that they are likely to rig the election. We don't have the powers of the state to counter them. They have police, they have the state, everybody in their arms. And now it's pretty obvious that they could also influence EC officials. So what could we do next? We have to come together and prevent them from taking our votes, our mandates, and giving it to the wrong person when we have chosen people to give it to. That kind of message, anybody who's been told that you voted away, but they deprive you of your vote, will feel disempowered. Now what they can do is to make sure it doesn't repeat itself going into the future. I hope you get an analysis here. Yeah, so it is really what they are going to exploit. They are going to say that and say that, oh, it happens all the time, like the gentleman was saying. No. It will be put to
I'm waiting to hear from the man. I'm waiting to hear from the man himself how he takes this up. We're going to take a break now, and because it is coming to crunch time, and as we heard already, Aduomi himself is heading to the coalition center because he knows that it's about time when the Electoral Commission declared the results. And you're going to be hearing that on PM Express. The declaration will be done on PM Express, live from the Coalition Center. You do not want to go anywhere. Our men are on the ground still with us. We're going to stay with you, I promise you that, to hear the results and get the reactions. And you'll hear it on PM Express, which starts right after this.